Selton Brown, former Arizona Cardinal, two-time All-American at the University of Virginia, and you're watching Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk, Season 5, Episode 8, with your host, Joe Dillard Jr. This week's special guest, Mike London, William & Mary University football head coach.
Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk. I'm your host, Joe D, bringing you back another episode as we have Season 5, Episode 8. Mike London out of William & Mary. We bring you a football special as it's right around the corner. We're going to talk tribe football, what's coming up this season, and how was this off-season camp walking right in. So we're going to go ahead and bring you Mike London for Episode 8 of Commonwealth Sports Talk. This podcast is designed to spread knowledge, teach, and inform the listener and viewer about the positive advancement of Virginia athletes born or raised. And this podcast is brought to you by Legacy Maker Sports, Grind and Pray, and those at Commonwealth Sports Talk. So without further ado, let's jump right into the interview with Mike London. Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk as we have Season 5, Episode 8, bringing you a great one here. It's football season right around the corner, and we have Tribe Nation come on in and sit down as we bring you Mike London. Hey, Coach, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, Joe. How are you doing?
Great, man. I'm just happy to have your time, man, and to break down this season we have in front of us, to have some sense of normalcy where you can go through your schedule. You remember we talked last year, and it was just take it as every 2 or 3 days at a time, take it every 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And I guess this year now you've been able to plan out this whole off season, get the guys ready and to kind of continue with this culture. Talk to me about how important your culture has set the tone for this off season coming into this year.
Yeah, Joe, thanks for the question. Obviously the pandemic issues that really kind of stymied 2020 and then 21, there were still impacts of it. Even today, even though things have gotten better, there's still, each university and whether they allow you to travel onto their campus, you're going to have to adhere to their policies. And so there's some schools that are more stringent, some, that have adjusted their requirements. But, the ability to coming out of last season and going into the spring, the ability to get guys bigger, faster, stronger with Kenny O'Barry as our strength coach did an outstanding job. I always say your MVP is the strength and conditioning staff, because there's that point of time where you just coming out of spring practice, those 15 days that you're allowed, and then they have them for about an 8-week cycle that allows them to train them. And I thought Coach O'Barry and his staff did a great job, during that course of after spring, and then leading up to the summer, and then summer leading up into training camp. So our guys have gotten bigger, faster, stronger. They put up a tremendous amount of weight. The conditioning level, being safe, obviously because of the conditions in terms of the heat, even we practice early in the mornings right now, just to make sure that we're safe with our players, because we're all susceptible to, or some of us that don't have the indoor, you can't go in the indoor facility. So we go in the morning, in the afternoons, the the meetings and the training room and all those things that occur for us. And we kind of avoid even the evenings because, as you know, the susceptibility to those evening thunderstorms, kind of put it on you as well. So we try to put everything together that's going to work for our team and our circumstance. Our guys have, like I said, had a great summer and early camp with our strength coach. Everybody's got a buy-in, all bought in attitude. A lot of guys are back from when we first got here, in 2019. A lot of these guys have played in college football games. So it's an older team, but it's also a team that's dealing with the nuances of the transfer portal and all these other issues. So, we've adapted and adjusted. And as I said, we just finished practice 9 this morning. And, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. We're going full steam ahead, but things have been very positive.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And I heard you mention that experience, which is going to be key this year, as you do have like 9 defensive returners. You've got experience at the quarterback position now. Players are coming back and understanding what is expected of them. You also have a preseason defensive player of the year in Nate Lynn, and he spoke very highly of how the expectation is to be better, to work harder every day. Talk to me about how that leadership is going to push you through leading into game 1. As you do show Friday, you have Charlotte as a season opener at Charlotte. So how do you expect to lead into that and have those seniors and those guys with experience lead you into that?
Yeah, Joe, you're only as good as your leadership, your senior leadership, the players that are, in the locker room, the players that not only in the weight room, or on the field, but when you're away from campus, when they're out in their social environments, are they adhering to the team rules and regulations? What you put in your body matters. How much sleep and rest that you get, nutrition, hydration, all those things. So when you have an older group of guys and they've seen the benefits that it can have on your performance, physically, emotionally, then that it's good for them to talk to the younger players or the other players that are coming along that, hey, listen, these are the things that are expectations of the program. These guys have been here. We've won game, had the first winning season since 2015 here. You mentioned Nate Lynn. He's up for every award that there is in college football right now. He's a phenomenal player. And I love the young man. He's a great leader. Our captains are, we got really strong captains, and just the overall aspect of the team and a buy-in and a little bit more of a maturity, has occurred as you start to develop and grow this culture. So very proud of the fact that they've done it in the classroom. Outstanding, spring semester GPAs, the highest they've had in 20 years plus. Awesome. Doing things in the community with the Coach Rosside Dowling, has our guys out in the community, giving back, and then obviously, doing things on the field, and that's the expectation of being successful in there as well, Joe.
Man, that's great stuff right there, and the level of responsibility these young athletes take on is just immeasurable. So for them to still continue to give back, be in community events and do things of that magnitude speaks volumes for the program. I heard you mention Coach Dowling and Johns, and a couple of others have been promoted within. You have guys that have come along with you for the ride. You have such a good chemistry with your coaches. I'm sure you feel like you don't have to do it all. So I'm sure that is an essential tool for your foundation there with the tribe. Talk to me about your coaches and how they keep you on edge. How does it work? How good is it? Is it juices flow? I love to hear about those days. I know that those guys are just as much in love with football as you are, and you guys carry the same principles. So I know it's going to be some great stories on that end.
Well, no doubt. I know the staff very, very well. Obviously, there's several of them that my relationship started with them at UVA as a player.
Correct.
They went different places and coached different places, and then the ability to bring everybody back. Awesome. Several with me at Howard University, and we're able to bring them here, and so it's easier when the young man and his family who's grown to be a man of responsibility and so much credibility. I don't have a problem telling these guys I love them, because I've seen them mature and grow and develop. It's one of those things that the culture that, go to class, show class, treat people with dignity and respect. that it's also subscribed by the coaches, and they buy into that. And when they're also with their position groups or with their units of responsibility, they're also talking about, the importance of that. It is also, it's great to have them here, but at the same time, it's my job to help promote them, to help give them job responsibilities and things that they can, exceed in their, own expectations as far as being a coach. I remember when I was a young coach, at Virginia, my time with Al Groh, I was camp coordinator, recruiting coordinator, defensive coordinator, coordinator, whatever you could think of. And he always wanted to put me in positions of leadership and where I could eventually stand in front of the team and articulate whatever the plan might be. So it's important for head coaches to develop their assistant coaches by giving them responsibilities. And every one of them have done a tremendous job with the level of responsibilities that they had and have exceeded. And so now, the culmination is putting everything together for this season coming up and hopefully being successful in the field, because a high tide raises all boats. And as I said, I got great coaches, and I know I can't keep them forever, but at the same time, the experience of what it's like and being a role model mentor, that's my responsibility. I'm a big audiobook guy, Joe.
Yeah.
John Gordon has a book called the Energy Bus, and
Okay.
it's not about getting people on the bus, but it's about getting people that are on the bus sitting in the right seats so you can move forward. And I think that's part of the, for a head coach or anybody that's a CEO or leading a company or organization, is to get people on board for the journey, but also to have them sitting in the right seats so they can flourish themselves and allow the whole operation to flourish.
Correct. And, for those sports followers that can relate to that, it's called When Talent Works Hard, Hard Work Beats Talent When Talent Doesn't Work Hard.
Work hard. That's
And,
it.
and that's exactly what you're describing right there. If you've got the talent, but it doesn't add up, or you're not in the right seat on the bus, then you're going to be in a slow promotion. So I love that. I'm going to even look that book up, by the way. And, I just wanted to finish with your coaches. They did an amazing job. They all have NFL experience, family knit. You've got former members of the tribe, former members of your walk of life. I just think that's a great equation for success. And you've shown it in a multitude of ways, having coaches return, having coaches promoted within. So, yeah, to have every coach engaged and a part of it is the heartbeat of the whole program. And I commend you on that 100%. So talk to me about some of the bright spots in camp. And what I mean by that is, like, what got that Mike London, Tab High School, Bethel High School feeling out there when you just win a couple of times, like, we're here, baby. Like, I know the juice has got to flow every time. That's what camp's for. So you got some bright spots that kind of stick out to you?
Yeah, well, the meetings, every meeting that I start, I walk in there and I start the meetings, and I always talk about whether it's a leadership aspect or, I revert back to my Richmond PD days where I refer to the guys. Listen, when I used to be a part of serving search warrants, I was that guy that was kind of the first through the door with the battering ram. And it's not easy being first through the door in anything. When you're an out in front leader, you take criticism. If you get any accolades, you want to give it to everybody else and say they're responsible for it. But when you're out in front and you're doing things, you take a lot of grief for it. You take criticisms for it and things like that. But that's okay, because all you want is the opportunity to have guys to follow you, and then they themselves become out in front leaders. And they know, when you say go to bed at 10:30, guys take it to heart of what you put in your body matters. How you treat women matters. There's so many different elements of being an out in front leader, just not on the football field, but it's in life and the things that we do. So if you can find a group of out in front leaders, guys that don't mind, getting the brunt of whatever somebody's misinterpretation of what they're doing. And I great example, Joe. So, I asked the guys what they thought about the Chris Rock and Will Smith incident. And, there were a few guys who were like, man, coach, I would have dealt with him, but thank goodness there was only like a couple of those guys. Overwhelmingly, most of the guys are like, coach, Will Smith's feelings were valid at the moment, but his actions were not. His actions could have been handled a different way. So, what I'm most proud about is the fact that, it's not what people call you, it's what you answer to. We've all had to deal with issues of whether somebody likes us or don't like us, or they're a hater or whatever it might be. But at the same time, understanding that things happen, people say things, they write about things about us, they marginalize you, they minimize you, and your feelings are valid. But when you look around and you see your teammate, when I look around and see my family, when you look around and see your family, our actions have a direct consequence in terms of what we do, what we say, how we react on those we love. So be smart about how you react to things, and then know that there's a proper time for things. So I try to bring real life lessons to what's going on, in and around our country. And then the guys can take it and say, okay, I see the scenario, and I see the similarities, and I see how that fits. And so when you have a bunch of guys like that, you can coach them and teach them not only on the field but off the field with with examples like that, and they engage you. That's a special thing right there. So I'm most proud of that, and I forgot the question that you asked me too. So
no, that's amazing, because it's and I'll bring it full circle for you. It's these meetings that provides that juice that goes straight forward from the coaches to the players, and having them see it and understand that your message is being passed forward for them to understand it in different magnitude. Like you've had kids that have been smart enough to assess situations and understand the Will Smith and the Chris Rock situation, and understand that people have feelings, but you still have to react a certain way and act accordingly. And that goes in line with football. You're going to have feelings and you're going to have things happen, but you've got to act in accordance because it's bigger than you. And I got that 100%. And that's something that a head coach is fully engaged with. Like, you've got so many hats right now that you're in charge of and believing in right now, that I think it's just I commend you for that effort that you do. But let's talk about this schedule here. We're within 3 weeks of gameplay, where we kick off September 2nd, Friday at Charlotte. And then we have a home opener the following Saturday at versus Campbell. I know the boys are chomping at the bits to get started. I know they're getting there. But tell me how important this process is, and how important it's going to be walking into that first game having all focus on the 1-0 process instead of the big picture.
Yeah, it's about the journey and the process to putting yourself in position to having opportunities to win. We're practicing now, and our rep count, or the amount of contact, all the things like that are calculated in terms of an improvement. And so by the time game time comes around, we haven't hit each other 1,000 times, and guys are knocked out of the first game because we want to be tough. We want to make sure that we're doing things the right way from a conditioning standpoint and endurance standpoint. Guys that have sickle cell traits or whatever, or asthma, we got to be smart about how we go about practice, when we practice, and what we do with them. So they got to be strategic about some of these things, because the days of just get in there, suck it up, let's go. There might be teams doing that, but you got to know your players. You got to know your players' medical history, and you got to know what they're susceptible to. So I think all those things that lead up into, right now it's just offense versus defense. But next week, then we'll start kind of narrowing the focus of scout teams giving the UNCC look. And so now the offense is going to go against UNCC's defense, and vice versa. And as you work your way up to the game week and all those things going, because we're out of school, there's no school, so there's no distractions. But then we're going to get into, a couple of weeks from now, school and expectations of orientation, for new players. And so all that's going to come to fruition. But what we can control is what we can control right now, Joe. And that's the thing about how we go about studying. Every player has a notebook. We're taking notes. Every player is asking questions. We do walkthroughs. We ask the younger players, what did you just hear? What did I just say? Show me what I just put on the board. Those types of things. And the older guys have got buy-in because, they're asking the same questions as well. But it's interesting that the first game is against Will Healy, who's the head coach there. He was my backup quarterback on the 2008 national championship team with Richmond. And so he's done a great job. He's at Austin P, and obviously he did well there, and he got hired at UNCC, an FBS program. So it'll be good to see him again, and play them, down there. Charlotte's a beautiful place to go play, and our guys are looking forward to it.
Man, Coach, your roots are nourished. Your roots get watered every day because you've got extensions of you everywhere, just like you've been a part of an umbrella in a circle of coaches. So that's an awesome storyline there where you have an opportunity to come full circle with him. I'm sure you have a good relationship with him, so it's going to be a great experience to see him across the sideline and to compete against him, because ultimately we're all men of God, as you've worded, and we try to make sure that we have ourselves in a position to enjoy the walk. And that gets no better than that coming full circle. So,
hey Joe, I wish my roots were nurtured when it comes to growing hair, because I can't grow no hair. There ain't no roots nurturing in that, man.
Look, man, it must be something in the water, as we're not too far from one another, and I'm sitting right here and rubbing mine, shining off the light. Our question is, how much light can we get off of our head? Question.
Oh man, yeah.
I love it, man. Look, last question, just so I can get you back to where you are and your state of mind. The schedule, is a little unique. Rarely do you get a home away. But in this case, this is a situation where you get to go in a familiar situation facing your ex-player in Charlotte, and then you get to come home to the September 10th home opener brought by Town Bank. Talk to me about the importance of starting off the right way defending home, because home is very essential, and you get to bring your crowd in, you get to have that environment, that atmosphere. Tell me how important you think that opening night is going to be for this program this year.
Well, I mean, obviously, on the road opening night for them is critically important, but it's also important for us because I've been in there where an FCS team plays an FBS team, and we've won games because the FBS team may minimize you or kind of take you lightly. And then our home opener against Campbell, who now is going to be a future CAA team, just like Hampton is, and just like North Carolina A&T. So this thing about growing conferences, you see it at every level. I think that what you're going to see is the more that you have in a conference is going to have an opportunity to sustain your conference and have geographical ties into where when you're not flying, 3-4 games during the season, because there's costs that are involved with that. So the realm of college football, as you know, Joe, is changing with conference affiliation, NIL, transfer portal, all those things like that. But for us, just concentrating on the first game against UNCC down there, and then our home game, and then let's play the schedule as it lays. But there's so many things that are going on in college athletics right now that we just gotta again, coach speak is focus on one game at a time and all that. But it's really been a challenge. But at the same time, having good coaches, having an older group of guys that have bought into the plan, it's made it easier for us to get ready and get acclimated to the first game, and then let's deal with the season as the season unfolds.
That's awesome, Coach. You put it in a nutshell as, we look forward to an upcoming season with you. We look forward to following you here with Commonwealth Sports Talk and Legacy Maker. We definitely will be there sideline for you at your home opener, and I definitely will be listening radio for the Charlotte game. So much success to you this season. We really appreciate your time here at Commonwealth Sports Talk. And hey, man, any last shout out or words of wisdom for me? Because I always take your words with gold.
You know what? No, Joe, I applaud you on what you do, your show, being able to support your show, being a hometown guy, knowing, you're the only one that knows the Tab High School, Bethel High School connection and things like that. So it's good to see. But I have this. My daughter, Kristen, who played basketball at UVA, plays professional women's football. And then just recently, her team, the USA, United States national team, went up to Finland, played Germany, and played Great Britain for the World Championship.
Great Britain for the championship.
Yeah, got that gold medal and everything like that. So yeah, so she's playing, got that gold medal. The women that play professional football, it's a great league. We had speakers from one of the officials from the NFL spoke to our women's clinic that we had. one of the coaches, full-time coaches on an NFL team, spoke to our women's clinic while they were, via Zoom while they were out in,
That's
in
amazing.
Finland. So I tell you, it is all in the family with everybody being involved. But my hat goes off to my daughter and women who are engaged and want to play the game or be an owner or be a coach or anything like that, man. So my hat goes off to all women participants.
Absolutely. Hey, this is funny because I just finished following that full journey that they had, not knowing, because I have a Lois Cook from the DC Divas who will be joining our show. And
oh man, yes.
I'm like, women in sports, I want to keep pushing that women in sports. And so I think that is amazing that came full circle right there. And I knew exactly what you was talking about. As soon as you started bringing it up, I was like, yeah, they won. So shout out to your daughter. Shout out to those ladies still pushing in sports, and shout out to those women defying what said can't be done. So
most
definitely appreciate that one, Coach. Commonwealth Sports Talk, appreciate you. Have a good one, man.
All right, you too. Take care.
Thanks, Mike. Usually I don't do follow-ups, and this is a sign of what I'm talking about in the future to come, as we are going to be following William and Mary football this year, as I will write an article every week on William and Mary football and their games played as they march toward a possible championship this year in the CAA, or hopefully a national championship. Look for the article to come out on the preseason report of William and Mary football that I will have through Legacy Maker Sports. And again, I'd like to thank Mike London for coming on to Commonwealth Sports Talk. I'd like to thank all of William and Mary for the continued support they've given us with Legacy Maker, being able to follow them. And hey, continue to tune in to us. Go Tribe, 7 Tribe 7. Let's go William and Mary football with Commonwealth Sports Talk. Y'all have a great day.